From the combined crew of blindandroidusers.com and accessibleandroid.com, it's time for your favorite Android podcast. Kick back now and enjoy another fine episode from these fanboys and gals as they navigate Android from a blindness perspective. And now, here's your crew. Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 246 of the Blind Android Users Podcast. We're recording today, August the 23rd, 2025, and I'm Warren from the state of Washington.
And I'm John from the state of Virginia.
Getting Q1 from Lebanon.
Coming up in this episode, we have the following lineup. In our Android Basics, we talk about what's new in the Android QPR, that's Android 16, QPR Beta 2, and then also mentioning something about the Android Canary with the third push out. In our spotlight, we're talking about the Made by Google 2025. It's a big one, and that's what we're focused on today. And then we close today's episode with an app of the week, or what John would call shortcut of the week. That's what we have coming up for this episode. Karen, girl, let's get started with you. What's going on there in beautiful Lebanon?
Well, everything's going well here. It wasn't hot this week, and this is great. It was something great for August. So we're doing well, and things are going well. And I hope that we will also have some rain. I mean, it's not expected, but I hope that this good weather will also bring, like later, some early rain.
Great. How about the fruit? Any new fruits coming through? Watermelons almost gone, right?
Well, watermelons aren't delicious anymore at that time of the year, but it's time for the black figs, and you know that I like black figs so much.
Yeah, that's something you love. That's right.
I'm eating as much as possible before August ends, and
yeah, that makes sense. John, last week you went up to the mountains. My friend went up to the mountains. Tell us about the mountains, John. How are you doing in Virginia land?
It was good. It was a 4-day trip. We did a few things. We went to Luray Caverns and explored some caves. This was me, the wife, and the kids. So just the three of us. We saw a lot of train related stuff. There was a lot of train stuff in the town we stayed in. And then we went to a safari park, which is kind of like a drive-through zoo where you get to feed animals from your car. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. And of course we just did things around that area. But yeah, it was nice. It's good to get away.
That was good. It's nice to get away now and then. Unless if you're me, who seldom gets away because we have the dogs and, oh gosh, I can't wait to be able to get away.
Yeah, we have cats, which are pretty low maintenance. So I just had my dad come by and feed them once a day, and not too much trouble leaving your cats at home, but that's a whole different thing with dogs. How was your week?
That's what I like about cats, easy, low maintenance. They're easy to take care of. Well, my week has been, just same old. I do a lot of yard work, though, this week, both in my yard and my late friend's yard. And so I was a busy boy. But other than that, we're kind of warming up again this weekend. It's supposed to be up in the 90s. So it's like on and off. We've been in the 80s and 70s for quite a spell, and now I guess we were having too much fun, and it's time to heat up baby. And now, the Android Basics segment. This is a segment where we discuss the things that power your device from behind the scenes. And now, here's this week's episode, Android Basics.
Next, we have Android Basics, where Warren is going to get us caught up on some new Android betas.
So Google was very busy. As we know, this week is Google Made by Google, and that Wednesday the 20th, not only did Google unveil all those great stuff, hardware and all of that great stuff. But they were also very busy, releasing the Android 16 QPR Beta 2 and also the Android Canary, the third iteration. And I'm not going to go through everything, but there are lots of things that have, happened in here. And I'm just going to go through some of the bulleted highlights here. And I'm going to go by heading. And so under UI, system experience, and accessibility, we have the following, and that's the Android QPR Beta 2.1. Expanded dark theme, auto-themed app icons, interactive chooser sessions, smoother Android migrations, PDF document annotation and editing, display topology API, device-aware view configuration, granular haptic feedback control, quick settings title categories. Those are the things we have there, under UI, system, and accessibility. The next heading is media and audio. And here we have IAMF decoding support, personal audio sharing in output switcher, new audio APIs, HDR/SDR brightness slider. And that's all that we have for audio. The next one is connectivity. Under connectivity, we have companion device management enhancements, media router, network privacy improvements. The next one is privacy and security. And we have secure lock device, phone theft protection toggle. The next one is developer productivity, and we have widget engagement matrix, early warnings for 16 KB page size compatibility, enhanced profiling, more robust multi-display testing. Those are the highlights of these release. Outside of that, the Android Canary channel also got a third release, and we're just going to simply put in the URLs for both of these in the show notes so you can read more about these. So those are some of the things that we have in the Android QPR Beta 2. That's the Android 16 QPR Beta 2.
So I guess Google is now, this is a pretty consistent thing now that they're releasing the beta of the next QPR before they release the stable of the previous QPR. So it's been like, what, 2 or 3 times in a row now they've done this?
Yeah, so we'll be seeing the feature drop for the QPR1 in September, and this QPR2 will see its feature drop. If you're not enrolled, you'll see that in December. So I think they're being consistent here.
So I know we say it every time, but if you're in the QPR1 beta and you want to get out of the beta without resetting your phone, then just ignore the update when it shows up for you to update to QPR2. And when the stable version of QPR1 or the fall pixel feature drop is available through the stable channel, it'll just replace that update, and you can update to there and unenroll without losing any data.
Yeah, unless it pulls a Samsung on you and where it auto updates it for you. Does it ever do that? I'm not sure.
No, I don't think it does.
But I've
Not
seen
for these
instances
betas.
where, on the Samsung, an update, even if you just keep procrastinating, at some point, it'll do it for you. Most especially if you're, going to sleep and you wake up and, hey, you got a new update. Welcome to the Spotlight segment. This is a segment dedicated to interviews with developers or interesting happenings in the world of Android. And now for this week's episode, here's your spotlight. Moving on now, we turn on to the Spotlight segment. And this week, of course, we're talking about the Made by Google 2025. And John and Karen, we got lots of stuff. Google rolled out some stuff, hardware and all of that. As far as I'm concerned, this is probably the most anticipated unroll of the year. I mean, if you're a Samsung guy, you may say, no, it's Samsung, but I think the Android world, though, probably looks forward to what Google does. And here we are, August, and Google roll out all of those devices on us. Let's start with some of the happenings here. This year was a little bit different with Jimmy Fallon there in New York. And I'm not sure if I like what happened. I'm not saying that this was not a good thing, but it just kind of, it broke the tradition, in my eyes. And I wasn't very sure if I liked the method of the presentation. Maybe next year they should have blind Android users podcast crew do that instead. What do you guys think about the presentation? I mean, it was okay.
I really liked it. It was, I'm not gonna lie, I did really like it. It was definitely different, and it was a little bit awkward, but it was entertaining. I mean, it kept my attention a lot more than events do, because these days, a couple things have been happening. Like, events are just getting boring, but also everything's being leaked before the events. So It's like you're not really learning much at all at the event anyway. So it was kind of a breath of fresh air to be able to, just have a different take on it. So I did enjoy it. It was funny. I liked it.
Yeah, I just kind of was a little bit different for me. Of course, it was different, and it kind of seemed to me like the hardware wasn't talked much about or whatever. I don't know, but yeah, I guess it was okay. It's just I'm kind of a traditionalist, and I need to get out of the tradition and perk up to something different. But yeah, so let's talk about the devices that we have. For me though, I think probably one of the things that I like about it is the fact that the pricing stayed the same as it was last year and all of that. So there wasn't any price hike this year because we've been hearing tariff, and everybody's was gonna be paying more.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that Google decided not to.
I do want to say though, they did pull an Apple when it came to the Pro XL, because what Apple did, I don't remember if it was last year or the year before, but they stopped offering the Pro Max in a 128 gigabyte version. So it no longer started at 1100 and it started at 1200, but it was the same price as the 256 gigabyte version last year. So technically the prices didn't go up, but it's more expensive. It's a $200 jump from so now it's a $200 jump from the Pixel Pro to the Pixel Pro XL, but you're still getting what you would have gotten if you had bought the $1,200 version last year.
Yeah, so I really, this 128 gigs thing, you guys, it's a broken record here coming from me, but I think we should be done with that. I really don't like this wholesome idea of the 128 gigs. It's kind of gotten old after a while, doesn't it? So I'm glad that with this the Pro XL, we don't have that.
Yeah, but what would be better than getting rid of the 128 gigabyte pricing tier is giving us 256 for that same price. So they could have gave us 256 for $1,100, but that was too much to ask.
Yeah, but Google is looking at it this way. If I give you that price, then I'm giving you, I'm giving you a cut. I'm giving you the price that should be for the 128. But Well, it's a bigger screen, right? That's what sets it apart from the regular Pro. For those that like that bigger screen and all of that. So you got that, and so you're paying for the screen size
Yeah,
by that.
and
So
you get faster charging. Wireless and wired is faster.
oh yeah, but why is that so though? Because they're basically the same in every aspect. I don't know what
I
the
think it's
thing is.
the cooling chamber is larger,
Oh yeah,
so
that's
the
right.
thermals are easier to deal with, so they can let you charge it faster. At least that's what they say.
Yeah, so that's what probably sets it apart, have bigger cooling chambers and all of that. And so you're paying a little bit more for that, but at least, starting at 256 and all of that. Another thing, John, that I noticed some of the colors, and I was just looking at some of those things. And of course, I was looking at the porcelain, for example, and it did not have the 1 TB. Again, it did not. And so, just for the record, I didn't pre-order this year, for some reason, guys. But I think maybe I was kind of a little bit pissed off that I'm tired of the Obsidian. I'm tired of the black phone year in, year out, because I always wanted to make sure that I get the biggest storage, the XL with the biggest storage. And this year I was hoping, though, that I was going to be able to at least get the porcelain one. And then I even looked at the Jade. It doesn't even have the 1 TB in the XL either. What's the deal, John?
Yeah, I don't think the Jade. I don't think the Jade even offers like 512. I think
Yeah,
it just
I
comes
don't
into
think it even
56.
have 512. You're right. So I don't know why. Why does the color have anything to do with storage? I'm really kind of wondering why that is. Year in, year out, most oftentimes the only one that you get with the 1 TB is, the Obsidian. And of course, this year we have that Moonstone one in there also, which is 1 TB. But the other colors don't have that storage. All right, so let's talk about some of the things or the features that this thing have. At least this year, John, something that's different though is that the vanilla model, which is a regular Pixel 10, finally has three camera lenses, right? That sets it apart from the Android 9 vanilla model from last year.
It does. It does not have the same cameras, but it does have a telephoto camera now. And I think even one of the cameras might be a downgrade from last year's camera. So it does have, if you're going by number of cameras, yeah, it has more cameras this year.
Yeah, because if you're not someone who is really not looking into all of that and you don't look at the differences, you go to the store and you are going to see both of them having, three cameras, most especially, if you're looking for a smaller one, and the Pro and the regular 10 both have three cameras. So it's kind of going to be really hard for someone who doesn't really quite go into the specs and all of that to know the distinction, or maybe they'll say, oh, this one is going to cost you more and this one is going to be less, and probably people will be wondering, well, why am I being charged more when they're looking identical? You know what I mean? I'm talking about that regular vanilla model and the Pixel 10 Pro.
Yeah, and to be honest, for most people it won't matter, because I think the main difference besides camera quality is going to be the RAM, because the base has 12 gigabytes, which actually is not a bad amount of RAM. But if you want more RAM, you can get 16 gigabytes with the Pro models. And all three Pro models have 16 gigabytes of RAM. So, if that's important to you and it's worth an extra $200, then, that's one thing that you get on the Pro models.
Yeah. So the next sister there, though, that we have is the Fold, right? The Fold also kept its price like it had last year.
which is good because Samsung 2 years in a row has raised the price. So the Fold 5 was 1,800, the Fold 6 was 1,900, and now the Fold 7 is 2,000. But Google has at least remained consistent. It's been $1,800 since the original Fold launched, and they've kept it at that price. So I do give them kudos for that. And also, this is the first. Well, it's a couple of firsts. I'll say it's the first IP68 foldable, meaning it actually has full dust protection, which no other foldable released has that. And it also has, and this goes for all of these Pixel phones, it has what they're calling Pixel Snap, which is Qi 2, which means it's wireless charging with magnets built into the phone. And with the exception of the HMD Global Skyline, there's literally not been any Android phone that was fully Qi 2 certified with magnets in the phone. So Google has basically been the first of all the mainstream companies to do this, and I think it's pretty cool.
Now, I don't remember, John, maybe you do remember, but did we have a 1 TB in the last two folds? I think it was 512, right? Maybe I'm mistaken. This probably is the first time we have a 1 TB, right?
I'm not sure. I know the original did not, but I'm not sure about last year's. It could have had a 1 terabyte, but yeah, you're right. It definitely does this year.
Yeah, I don't remember if last year's has a 1 TB either. I thought it was also a 512, but it maybe has a 1 TB. I just don't remember. But at least, like you indicated, we have the first. And I kind of wonder why Samsung, though, for some reason, only had the IP48 like in the 7. That took me by surprise because I was thinking they were going to go full-blown IP68, and to see that Google is the first one to do that, it kind of surprises me.
Yeah, it's impressive. Apparently, it's hard to do with a foldable. To have a hinge that doesn't let dust in.
And Google is boasting that the hinge is going to last for at least 10 years. Or maybe we'll get one and see. I'll come back in 10 years and see if we could still unfold and flip it over and over again. But yeah, I think that's really impressive that we have that. And like you said, the Qi 2, it was something that really kind of surprises me here. I've often wondered about, John, why do we pronounce this thing Qi? It's QI, right? And so could someone explain or make a comment on our YouTube as to why this thing is called Qi? Is it Chinese QI pronounced Qi?
That
John,
would be my guess, but
do
I'm
you
not
know why
certain.
this is?
Yeah, I would guess that's why, but I don't know for sure.
Okay.
What I do know for sure, and getting back to the phones, is that the Pro XL has Qi 2.2. The other three just have Qi 2.0. So the difference being it will charge at 25 watts wirelessly, whereas the others will just charge at 15 watts wirelessly.
That's something good to notice. And also the storage system now. We have a better storage system this year, don't we? Last year, I think it was a UFS 3.1, and this year is a 4.0, which may, give it a little bit of a bump when it comes to, performance, responsiveness, and all of that. So I'm glad to see that, because for the longest time, Google hasn't changed, the storage system, file system. And so now having this UFS 4, I think that's really good.
Speaking of storage, I noticed that the regular Pixel doesn't have sizes above 256 gigs, which is not something that I liked. So they just have 128 gigs version and 256 gigs version, which is, I don't know why they decided to go that way with the Pixel 10. I mean, it's fine. Why not to give it the same treatment and let it be with the 512, as at least 512, not one terabyte, but at least 512 gigs. So I wasn't a fan of what happened actually.
Yeah, I agree. I think Samsung did something similar, at least in the US. They might have correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they might have a 512 gigabyte version of the S25 elsewhere, but here in the US it's only 128. Or is it, or does it even come in 128? It only has two storage sizes from what I recall. So yeah, I think this is, this is similar to the color thing Warren mentioned earlier. I think they don't want to have to manufacture too many of something that they're not sure if people will buy it or not. So while I disagree with that approach, I think that's probably their thinking as to why these larger sizes are not available on the smaller models or in certain colors.
Or maybe it's just a way to give the pro versions, like to give them more features, so people just go ahead and purchase these phones. I mean, because the pro includes the 512 variant and 100 and 1 terabyte variant. However, the regular one doesn't include it.
Yeah, I'm sure that's part of it as well. I mean, if it was strictly about money, I feel like they would make more money if they did offer it, because, what is it like? It's an extra $100 for 256. And then when you go up to 512, it's like an extra 250 or something. It gets ridiculous once you start getting these higher storage sizes, and it doesn't cost them that much to have that much storage in it. So they could make some money off of it, but they're not offering it for whatever reason. Like you said, probably just saying, hey, why don't you just, if you're going to spend that much money, just get the pro model, even though you'll have to pay an extra $200 for it to be pro, and then have to pay for the extra storage on top of that.
I think, though, it's probably all about the money, because in reality, if you have them in that storage, is because the storage, the bigger the storage is, you will need to charge for that storage. So in order for them to give those bigger storages, they'll have to start the pricing of that one lower than what they started with. For example, maybe started at $599 or whatever, and then go up with $100 for 256, or and then it will wind up being cheaper when it goes to like 1,000 for a 1 terabyte or whatever. But as you indicated, though, most people though would just get the starter or the vanilla one, because they don't really care. I think that the pro probably is usually the enthusiasts that go for that. But I don't know. I just kind of think that no one would want to pay more money for the 10, even if it's 1 TB, and they're paying for like $1,300 or $1,400. It's just going to be a hard sell because of the specs and all of that, and you're not going to be doing them justice.
Well, I mean, there are people, I'll push back on that a little bit. I think there are people that would want more storage but don't care about performance. And if they could save $200 by getting a 1 terabyte version of the base model Pro, or base model Pixel 10 over the Pixel 10 Pro, I think they would. So, I mean, there are people that it would benefit, but I think that those, it's not very many, and I think Google knows that.
Yeah, so I think these decisions are probably made from the statistics that they have, what sold and what didn't sell. And so based on that, then they will make a decision as to which ones to produce and which ones not to produce. Maybe even that may be true with the color thing, but, well,
Yeah.
Well, we don't know what the reasoning is, but definitely they are seeing things behind the scenes that we don't know.
Yeah, and speaking of statistics that they have, I'm going to talk about a downgrade. Do either of you know the feature that these phones do not have that the Pixel 9 series did have?
the battery share. And, Google
Yep.
explained as to why they did that, because they want that bigger cooling system and all of that. So, I have never used the battery share, to be honest with you. Have you ever used it? Maybe if you have an earbud, for example, one could
I've
use it,
used it
but I
once.
have never used it. So if you only used it once, then it means it's not something
Yeah.
that you use, really.
And,
So,
and Pixel did it right. I think they did it the best because they had it turn on automatically anytime you charge your phone. So like if you did have earbuds, you could just plug your phone in, put it on the table face down, and set your earbuds on the phone, and it would just start charging them. You didn't have to actually turn on wireless power share. So I liked their approach to it, but I never used it for my earbuds. And the one time I did feel like a hero. The one time I did use it,
I
because
love it.
we were at the beach and Ashley's phone had died and my
Uh-huh.
phone had 80% battery, and she was like, "Oh man, I forgot to charge my phone last night and now it's dead." And I'm like, "Let me see it." And I just like slapped it on my phone and and she's like, "Is that really charging my phone?" I'm like, "Yep." So I got to be the hero that one day, but outside that, I've never used the feature.
You just performed the job of what a true hubby would do. You rescued the wife, and kudos for doing that.
Yeah. And so the article I read said Google's reasoning for removing it had to do with the Qi 2 charging and having magnets in the phone. And they said that the magnets interfered with the reverse wireless charging. And that makes me wonder if
That's right.
it makes me wonder a couple things. Is this why Apple has never added this feature? Because Apple's had MagSafe since I think the iPhone 12. So is that why they don't have reverse wireless charging? And also, is that why all these manufacturers are reluctant to add it? Because it seems like, at least according to Google, I don't know if it's true or not, but according to Google, it's difficult to accomplish, if not impossible, to have magnets in the phone and have it reverse wireless charge something else.
Yeah. I was reading the same article too. Yeah, you're correct. And so I think that could be the reasoning, because there may be a conflict between those two features. But, like I said, and most especially, you used it once, for example, and, you've had it all this time, but, you never used it. So you wouldn't, someone like you and I who don't often use that may not necessarily be missing that feature. Like I said, honestly, I've never used it. Not
And
even once.
Google tracks these things. Like,
Yeah, they do.
it's similar to the S Pen being removed. Samsung knows how many people use the S Pen, and Google knows how many people have ever used this feature even once, right? So they take that data and they weigh it against, like, should we introduce this Pixel Snap thing with magnets? Which I'm glad they added it. I don't think I'll use it because I have to have a case anyway because of Braille. I've said it before, but Braille screen input, how it works. I need to have a case to keep my palms from touching the sides of the screen. But if I could go caseless, and I would go caseless, and this would be, a benefit to that, is still having that magnetic charging even without a case. And I think it will. This seemed to be the theme at this event, is convincing people to move over from iPhone. And I think this is a huge thing when it comes to that, just to be able to say, all those MagSafe accessories you have, you can still use those on a Pixel if you buy a Pixel. And I think that'll mean a lot to a lot of people, and that seemed to be the theme of this event, that, they brought up RCS, which has nothing to do with this phone, just because they basically wanted to say, don't worry, you're not a green bubble anymore. Although you're technically still a green bubble, because Apple will always show Android users as green bubbles, until the end of time, because they want their users to know they're not talking to an iPhone. But as far as features, like, you will get all the same, most of the features you would, if they were talking to somebody else with an iPhone. So they kept bringing that sort of thing up. I think they just want to make this walled garden that Apple has built, they're trying to make a way out, right? They're trying to make it as easy as possible for people to switch.
Yeah. Well, talking about cases, though, I was looking at cases and all of that. It sounds like some of them do support that T2 or whatever. So if you want a case, just look for the one that does. But yeah, so we got a lot of things going on, and frankly, Tensor 5 and all of that, knowing that it's coming from TSCM. Is that what that thing is called? TSCM.
TSMC.
TS. I could never say that thing right. What is it again, John? TSMC, right? TS.
Taiwanese semiconductor manufacturing something. I don't know what order it is in, but that's what it
it is. Yeah, but yeah, frankly, I'm thinking that this is going to be a whole lot better, maybe a tad better than what we had last year with the Pixel 9 series and all of that. And then another first that Google gave us, though, is that the Pixel 10 now has the Thread Radio built in, so that when you're trying to talk to Matter enabled devices, or all those other devices, via the home app or whatever, how it is right now. It's like a tunnel. It goes through Wi-Fi to the router and whatever. So, but now with this, it makes it faster. No latency. It's just instantaneous, and so they're the first to do that. So I'm hoping, though, that this will become the norm, and we'll see that with more and more manufacturers. And so, yeah, there's a lot of good things going on here with this Pixel 10 series.
So I have a question. What about the charging speed, the wired charging speed?
I think is it 30 on the Pro and the Standard, and 45 on the XL? Is that what it is?
I don't remember, but whatever it is, this year's charging speeds are higher than last year's model, both the wired as well as the wireless charging.
If it's 30 watts, it's not higher, actually, because as I remember, Pixel 9 was 30, wasn't it?
John, you remember?
I'm not sure about...
One of them was like 37. I think the Pro
XL was 37.
Yes, and the regular Pro was a little bit lower.
27. Yeah, it was 27.
Okay, but it won't make a big difference. I mean, they're not going like what the Chinese manufacturers are doing. I mean, they're not going this 65 and 80 and stuff. So they are playing it safe, like Samsung.
Yeah. True. They did just enough to beat Samsung a little bit. Like, doesn't it?
Yeah, slightly.
It's so they matched the 45 watts of the Ultra and the Plus of Samsung's, and they just barely beat the 25 of the base model.
Yeah, if it's 45, Samsung gives the 45 watts charging speed for the S25 Plus and S25 Ultra. And I think I think also the A55 as well has the 45 watt charging, and we were just saying that how could they put it in the A55 and not put it in the S25? Wasn't that the case?
Yeah, it must be the size. That would be my guess. It is larger, right? Isn't it?
Yeah, but I don't think that this should make a difference, because also Chinese manufacturers have mini phones, and they just give you and they just give you good batteries, and they give you charging speeds. So
yeah, but I mean, if you're super concerned about heat, I think the size does matter, which Samsung is super concerned about heat.
Yeah. Talking about battery, this year's battery is a little bit bigger compared to last year, right? I'm thinking of the XL, Pixel 10 XL from last year. It was 5,000, right? I don't remember. John, you remember the battery?
I know they're all a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
I don't remember the numbers.
Yeah. I know the one of them was 4,700. Maybe that's the Fold, and then this year is 4,870. I think that's the Fold.
The XL, I think, it's 5,100 or 5,200, something like that.
Yeah, last year I think it was 5,100, and maybe this year it's a little bit bigger. I don't remember, the battery size, but I know this year's bigger, and they claim it's going to be lasting longer than last year's and all of that. So, until these things are in the hand, we can't really say for sure, but it's exciting to see what is happening. I think that the focus of this year, though, is the software is what is being pushed, right, guys?
Well, it's AI at the end of the day, all of the time, AI and AI and AI. So they are focused on AI as usual, as like Samsung actually and other companies. So they are giving people interesting stuff. I mean, we should see in real life if these things will work well or not. I mean, like the feature that what is it called? That one that gives you suggestions based on what you're doing, Magic Q or something like that.
Yeah, Magic Q is what you're talking about. It works like so we already have suggested replies when you're in a conversation, but now it will suggest, knowing your information, and of course this all works on device. It knows it has your emails, so if somebody asked you what's your flight number again, it'll just know what your flight number is because it has access to your email, and one of the quick replies will be your flight number. That's just an example, but it'll do things like that. So this is one of my favorite things about Gemini, is asking what asking things based on my inbox. Like I just recently said, I bought a dryer 5 years ago. What was the model number of that dryer? And it said, I just found your Home Depot confirmation email, and the model number is this. So Gemini has this sort of access, but this takes it a step further, and you don't even have to ask for it. It sees in the conversation what the person's asking for, and if it's something it can go and grab for you, it does, and it gives you the option to just hit the button and reply with that. So I think this could be, if it works right, if you trust it, it could be a very nice feature.
Well, it's not only in replies. They are going like further with stuff like telling you or suggesting that you add certain stuff to the calendar and other things. So they're trying to make it a real assistant that comes without calling it. Like it will just be there trying to give you suggestions. And the good thing that it doesn't try to work on its own. Just it gives you a suggestion and you can just take it or ignore it. But well, the difference. I mean, you were talking about the emails, but this is done with Gemini, the online Gemini. So I'm not sure what will happen when we are talking here about the on-device model, which is of course weaker and less capable. So I'm not sure what AI will do here, and if it ends up to be a mess or something really useful. So this is interesting. I mean, whatever it comes from this, it's interesting to see how it will work in real life.
So I would assume, like, if you're in the conversation with the person and they ask you a question, it's probably not, because, like you mentioned, these on-device models are a lot slower. It might not show up, but, if it's something that happens in the background, it already has gotten a message from this person, it's already started looking for the thing, then, maybe it will seem pretty quick by the time you get to the conversation. But yeah, only time will tell with this sort of thing.
So the whole idea, though, is that you're going to have a full nano version on the device, so that all of this will be locally on your device. Because with the assistant or Gemini currently, as what we have is a reactive thing, you have to ask, but this is proactive. So we're having a conversation talking about, hey, John, last year you bought some washer, didn't you? And then because it knows we're talking about you buying something from last year, that information would already pop up there, showing you all that info. Because it just came to my mind last week or this week, actually. I was talking with my internet service provider and they were asking me for my account number. If I have that, it would have shown my account number right there without me trying to go find it. So that's what this is proactive, something that's working in the background, and it's not like it's going to be glomming to all of your apps. It's something that you can choose which apps to do. And right now, though, it's just a few of the Google apps that would be able to tap into to have this feature. So I'm kind of curious to see where it goes from here, because this will revolutionize the way we use our phones, because all this assistant thing is reactive, not proactive.
Another example, now they didn't mention this in the show, but I saw in a review video somebody did a demonstration of a guided frame, and it seems to be better. Like it seemed to be more descriptive. It wasn't just saying how many faces and like where to move the camera, but it seemed to be more of an actual image description, like telling you what was in the camera. And that seems pretty cool. And that obviously would have to be using, well, I guess it doesn't have to be using, but it's probably using the on-device Gemini stuff.
Talking about that, I think that camera coach thing that they talk about, I hope it works for us, because now we could take better pictures. I'm not saying, though, that we're not able to take good pictures with the guided frame, but being able to kind of say, focus on the close-up, or focus on the face, or focus from the chest up, or whatever the case may be, or I want to see the full person, including, their feet and whatever, if they're standing and all of that. So I'm kind of curious to see how that's going to work with us when it comes to accessibility. If it does work, and, in conjunction with guided frames, it's going to be a game changer. Let's talk about some of the other devices. I know you guys, Karen and John, you like your earbuds. So this is the first time we had the second iteration of the Pixel earbuds, whatever those things are, right? I don't think we've had any since the first Pixel earbuds. This is the second iteration. Am I correct?
Yeah, that's right. And these do have ANC now. The originals did not. So active noise cancellation. I'm assuming, now they didn't say it, but I'm assuming that means they also have a ambient or pass-through or transparency mode, but I'm not sure. Basically, they're cheaper. What are they, 130? Or is it 150? One of those two. And they come with the new head nodding feature if you want that for answering your phone calls. And of course, they use Gemini, which I'm not impressed with, to say the least. I mean, I don't like how Gemini works on earbuds. It's not like Google Assistant. Well, I shouldn't say that. But the thing it does is it wakes the screen, and then TalkBack kind of interrupts it. So it's kind of useless, in my opinion. But it's there.
You know what I like is the other feature you just mentioned. I'm not an earbud kind of guy. You know me. Give me over the ears headset. But I like the wholesome idea of not needing to touch a control to answer the phone. I like that, just maybe a head shake or whatever motion of the head to answer the call. And if I could do the same thing to end the call or whatever.
Warren, what if you just really love your ringtone and you're like nodding along to it, and then all of a sudden you're on a phone call you don't want to be on?
Oh, wow, that's interesting. Yeah, but so see, I think I would like the feature, but I want to see that feature come to an over-the-ear headset, because that's what I use. Talking about over-the-ear, I got an edifier, this last week, and I kind of like them. The only thing I don't like about it is it's not foldable for some reason, and I'm kind of a little bit disappointed. How about the white elephant in the room? John, watch. You've become such a watchman, John, a watchman on the tower.
Uh, I have been wearing my watch, and I have Gemini to thank for it. I mean, if it weren't for Gemini, this thing would still be in a drawer. So, yeah, hopefully you know more about the watch than I do, because I don't even know, have they upgraded anything in it as far as the
Yeah,
storage or the processor?
the battery is better, and it also the GPS now is dual radio.
Is the
So
processor better?
the
This is
processor,
what this is because I'm talking about talkback performance, right?
yeah, no, I know
So,
I know where you're going, my boy.
yeah,
Frankly, I don't think we're going to see any change in that department necessarily. Um,
this doesn't
so
happen every year with watches. They don't get new processors, but like every 3 years
no,
or so. Yeah,
yeah. So, but it's supposed to be better, this time because you can use it without hitting a button to turn on the assistant. Just like the headset you were talking about, the earbud you were
yeah.
talking about earlier on. Those are some of the features, though, that. But I didn't, just like I didn't pre-order the phone, I didn't pre-order this watch either. So, but I'm thinking, maybe I could just go in and trade in my um, Pixel Watch 3 and get the 4, and this time make sure I force myself to wear it, because it doesn't make sense to not wear it and then get it. It's just like putting it there and sitting in the door. It's not going to help you. And it comes with the 2-year free data from Google if you get the LTE model.
Yeah, speaking of the LTE model, I'm assuming this is only on the LTE model, but they announced it's the first watch to actually use the a satellite connection. So, if you like to go hiking with your watch so far away that you no longer have cell service, you can use satellite connectivity to contact emergency services if you need to. And this is the first watch to do that.
That's really neat. And, talking about that, although this is kind of a little bit outside of this, but, talking about, satellite stuff, Google, I think, was it yesterday or the day before, came out, announced that they're doing something with WhatsApp now. So you can now do voice and video calls if you don't have internet connectivity using the same satellite thing. So what is going to happen is that it's going to do one of two things. It's going to be making WhatsApp more visible here in the States, and it's also going to make Google sell more Pixel phones, because this is only going to be with the Pixel devices on the Pixel 10. So I see it's a nice strategy on the side of, coming from both the sides of Meta and Google, in collaborating to do something like this. That's really neat.
Well, does it work in India? I mean, do they have this satellite service thing? Because I think I don't think that they have tried to convince people to use WhatsApp in the United States or something, and people know that already. WhatsApp is not popular there, so I'm assuming that they are focusing on the Indian market in a way or another. But I don't know what's the case there. What's about satellite services there? So this is interesting to know. Why did they select WhatsApp, and what's the point if actually WhatsApp is not at all popular in the United States?
Yeah, but this may be a way to, make it popular, because we have a lot of rural areas here. And if people can be able to make calls, I mean, I'm looking at myself here. If I go like 50 miles down from my home here, you don't have anything. And if I'm able to make a call using WhatsApp or, whether it's a voice call or video call, of course, that's going to make it possible for people to say, hey, you know what, that dead zone that we have, if you have WhatsApp, you can use it. So I see it's a strategy of making WhatsApp becoming popular here. We'll see what happens. But like I said, it's going to, both Meta and Google are going to benefit, because you need a Pixel 10 in order to be able to have that, and then you need WhatsApp in order to be able to have that in a rural area that you don't have access to sales services. So it's a good strategy. As for India, I don't know if this is going to make any or whatever in India, because that's what people out there primarily use anyways, is WhatsApp. So and I don't know, the service is just like for the US right now or something like that. But we'll see what happens if this becomes the norm, and it's going to be beneficial for those times when you find yourself out where you can't even have any cell services. Now, Karen, you are a heavy WhatsApp user, right? You use WhatsApp mainly for your texting, no?
Well, WhatsApp here is very popular to the point that also businesses use it. So if you don't use WhatsApp here, you will feel like you're excluded, because mainly even you just, when you want to call someone, you just call the person on WhatsApp before trying even to call them using a standard phone call, actually.
Wow, yeah, and talking about it's interesting. We're talking about WhatsApp. I was reading another article where WhatsApp now is they may be introducing, voicemail. You know how it is. Sometimes you call someone and it just rings and rings. And the one thing I don't like about WhatsApp is whether the person is online or offline, it still rings, making you think that person is there, and they're not. Their phone could be off for all that but yet it will still ring. And this is why I like Telegram. If the phone is off with Telegram, it's not going to be ringing, but with WhatsApp, it still rings. So, but WhatsApp may be introducing, the voicemail, and I think that's way overdue, isn't it? It would be nice. I try to call you, Karen, and your phone is off in the drawer. After a while, I should be able to leave you a message, right? Hey, I'm trying to reach you, and I guess you're not there, or maybe your phone is not on, but I'm sending some boy to bring you some fix in the morning, something crazy like that.
Well, first, let me tell you that I put only people's phones in the drawer, not mine. And the second thing, actually, is it's a good feature, but I want to mention Samsung here, which is doing bad things regarding battery optimizations. So with Samsung phones, you could be just literally using your phone and then switching the screen, locking the screen. And then someone calls you on WhatsApp, and it will show them that it's calling only, not ringing, and the phone won't ring, and you will then receive a missed call notification. This is just because of the aggressive battery optimization thing in Samsung's phone. And if you tell me, okay, just allow it restricted access, this won't work, because Samsung will just do whatever it wants to do without caring at all what you have selected in the settings. So usually this is a known problem with many Samsung phones. For me, for example, people are used to calling me and knowing that because of my phone, it won't ring, and then I'll know after I unlock the phone, that I received a call, and I will have the missed call notification. So,
oh no,
this is a Samsung problem. I don't know about Chinese phones, because they are also aggressive. But with Samsung, I hope that they would just don't be like that. But they are doing this, and it's so much annoying, because, as I told you, WhatsApp is very, very popular here. Yeah. So you should be always connected. So yeah, this is the point. But let me just clarify one thing. Yeah, you will hear it ringing, but if you try to read with TalkBack, it will tell you calling if it's unable to ring, like if the other party is not reachable, and ringing if it's ringing on the other side. So you should just have to put your finger on the screen and check what's telling you. Is it calling or ringing?
That's really interesting. Yeah, I wouldn't like that. But anyway, well, yeah, Samsung's very aggressive when it comes to that battery management, because they're looking out for you. But, if you've opted and chosen, say, no, I don't want this one, optimized, just leave it as is. I think that should be respected, So if it's me and I'm allowing that, and that means that I'm willing to, constantly put my phone on the charger, then leave it to me, to go with what I have chosen. But I guess they think always they know more than we do. And probably they know more than we do, right? What can I say? Up next is the App of the Week segment. This is a segment dedicated to app demonstrations. Should you have an app that you would like to demonstrate for our listeners, feel free to send us the recording of such an app demo to contact us at blindandroidusers.com. And now for this week's episode, here's your App of the Week.
And now it's time for the app of the week. Oh, I'm sorry. We don't have an app of the week for this week. We will have the shortcut of the week, which is Google Password Manager. So Warren is introducing the Password Manager from Google, which is in fact not an app. It's just adding a shortcut to let you open the Password Manager quickly. So, Warren, go ahead and tell us about this app.
Hi, Warren here for Blind Android Users Podcast, and as we continue with our App of the Week series to keep in step with the Made by Google, for episode 246 App of the Week, I'll be demonstrating a Made by Google app, and this time I'm talking about the Google Password Manager. This is really nothing new here, rather this is a shortcut to get to the password managing app of Google, which is built into your Android device. For today's demonstration, I'm utilizing my Galaxy S23 Plus, running One UI 7 and Android Accessibility 15.x. I am on the play page of the Password Manager and will now navigate to the About, and so we can hear the description, and thereafter I'll come back and tap on that install and get started. Here is a description of the Google Password Manager.
About this app. Heading: Google Play Store. Google Password Manager. Details. A quicker way to access Google Password Manager on your phone. This app provides a shortcut to Google Password Manager on your phone, making it quicker and easier for you to find and manage your password, passkeys, and more. Google Password Manager is already built into your Android phone, securely saving your passwords and helping you to sign in faster. Passwords made effortless. Sign into sites and apps on any device without needing to remember or reuse passwords. Google Password Manager is built into Chrome on all platforms and Android. App info. Version: the 9th of May 2025.78190380.5.00 release. Updated on July 11, 2025. Downloads: 1 plus downloads. Download size: 1.75 megabytes. Required OS: Android 6.0 and up. Offered by Google LLC. Released on August 20th, 2025.
And that's the description of the app. I'll now go back to that installation page and tap on Install.
Play Store. About this app. Heading: Install button. Verified by Play Protect. Navigate up button. Google Password Manager. Installing. Shortcut to passwords added on home screen.
We're done with the installation, and I'll now tap on Open.
Open button. Google Play Services. Google Password Manager logo. Image.
Upon opening it, of course, it's the same thing that you'll find when you go to system settings and then go to passwords and passkeys and then accounts. As I indicated earlier, this is basically a shortcut to that, so saving you a step or two in trying to get to your passwords and all of that. But everything is the same except that you now have a shortcut. I mean, you could always go into system settings, go into that passwords and accounts, and find the password manager and then choose to add it to your home screen. However, Google decided, though, it's best to just create an app for it. I'm in the menu eye of the app, as I indicated, and we heard something image that's there on the top left corner of the phone. And if you move to the right,
Search button.
You got the search button, and to the right of that,
0%.
and to the right of that on the top right corner is your username.
Signed in as
And down below, we have 3 tabs. We got,
selected. All accounts.
by default, is all accounts. And to the right of that,
Not selected. Passwords. Double tap to change the filter.
that's passwords. And to the right of that
Not selected. Passkeys. Double tap to
is
change the filter.
passkeys. Now, by default, I indicated we're on all. So everything passwords, passkeys are going to be found below here.
At Voice Aloud Reader, Adobe.com, AIOS, Amazon.com.
Now, at the very bottom, though, we have the following tabs.
Selected. Accounts. Tab.
We got Accounts tab on the far left and to the middle,
Checkup. Tab.
and on the right
Settings. Tab.
is the Settings. Those are the buttons and tabs that we have. As I indicated, this is just like what you have, but it makes it easier to get here quicker than going through all of that, which is sometimes a little bit confusing. And that would conclude this little app of the week for the Made by Google 2025. Thanks for listening, and as always, if you like what we're doing, subscribe to our channel.
Thank you, Warren, for this very, very, very useful application. So, just a question: why did you decide to demonstrate this one?
Well, it's an app. Google released it on the Play Store, so it's the same day, the Made by Google day. They released this app on the Play Store as a standalone app. So one doesn't have to go through all the process, go through the system settings, and go to passkeys and accounts and all of that to find that password. So in a way, I really like it because if you're having difficulty getting in there, I mean, you can go in there, even with an experienced person. Sometimes it's hard to get in there. You go in there, and it's a little bit confusing sometimes. So this just simplifies the process. And if you install this, and if you have the shortcut, and if you've added the shortcut from the manual process, the icons are different. This one says passwords, while the one that you go manually and enable it and say, hey, add it to my home screen, that one will say password manager.
So, was it possible before to add it to your home screen before the introduction of this app? I mean, without using a shortcut manager or something.
Without this, you could, but it's quite a process. You got to go through the process, and then you go find it and say, add it to the home screen. Just like saying you want to add a PW or website to your home screen as a shortcut.
Yeah, but you do it once. So.
Yeah, you do it once, indeed. But this is an app. It's a standalone app now of its own. So it simplifies that process.
Well, I can see another use for that, which is if you want to, for example, open it through the a gesture using your launcher. I mean, I don't know why people could do this, but it's possible now because third-party launchers allow you to, for example, use a gesture while you are on the home screen to open apps. So it will be possible now with this application to use this shortcut or to use this app for a gesture. I mean, I won't be doing this, but I can see that some people might do it. So yeah, it's good.
But I'm glad we have it, to be honest, because a lot of people, if you use the Google Password Manager, this is no-brainer. You should have this. All good things must end. Thus, it's curtain drawing time, bringing us to the close of this week's episode. Coming up, though, we give you information on how to get hold of us. Well, folks, with that, though, we come to the end of this week's episode. And as always, John standing by, coming back from the mountaintop and standing by giving you information on how to get a hold of us. And here's John now to give you that information on how to get a hold of us. John?
To contact us, simply send an email to contactus@blindandroidusers.com. If you'd prefer, you can leave a voicemail by calling +1 307 202 9797. You can join our mailing list by sending a blank email to blindandroidusers+subscribe@groups.io. You can join our Facebook and Telegram groups or subscribe to our YouTube channel using the links in the podcast show notes or YouTube video description. And you can find all of this information and more at our website, blindandroidusers.com.
Thank you so much, John, for that information, guys. We appreciate you guys listening to us in, day out, week in, week out, whatever way you want to call it. And again, until we see you next week, though, we want to say thank you. And from me, it's goodbye. Cheerio.
Goodbye. Thanks for listening.
Goodbye. Have a good week.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Blind Android Users Podcast. Until we see you next week, don't forget to leave us your comments and suggestions via our email contact or using any of our social media sites. Have a great week.